What do wetlands, rivers, springs, lakes, caves, oases, salt flats, phreatophyte vegetation, and estuaries or nearshore ecosystems have in common? All these ecosystems are often connected to and dependent on groundwater. But how are they connected exactly? And what happens when this connection is altered? Let's find out in this Groundwater-Dependent Ecosystems episode of Groundwater Explained. Groundwater is often described as invisible, but there are places where you can actually see it. You can see groundwater flowing or dripping in caves and emerging at the land surface as springs. But there are also ecosystems where the role of groundwater is a bit more behind the scenes. In deserts, with little to no rainfall, groundwater keeps oases alive. The same is true for salt flats, also called salars, in the high plains of countries like Bolivia. But also surface water bodies like rivers, lakes, and wetlands are often sustained by groundwater, providing them a continuous flow, particularly during dry periods or droughts. Groundwater-dependent ecosystems are the perfect balance, like a beautiful symphony, where groundwater, surface water, plants and animals all support each other. But what if this balance gets disturbed? Human interventions related to groundwater can have a devastating, cascading effect on ecosystems. Over-extraction, for example, lowers the groundwater table, which means it may no longer support ecosystems with a constant water supply. Meanwhile, extensive agriculture and industry can pollute groundwater with nitrate, pesticides, or industrial waste, potentially degrading the ecosystems that depend on this resource. Also, mining activities or construction of dams can break the balance in very destructive ways. On top of these direct human causes, there are also indirect ones. Climate change alters rainfall patterns that used to recharge the groundwater, while rising temperature evaporates more surface water than before. In coastal areas, rising sea levels can cause saline intrusion, affecting groundwater quality. Why is this a problem? When ecosystems are seriously affected, can't function properly or disappear, this will not only affect biodiversity, it will impact humans too. When over-extraction and the consequential decreasing groundwater table dry out vegetation, people will face increased risk of wildfires. But also economic impacts will be felt. Wetlands, caves, salt flats, lakes, they're often hotspots for tourism and recreation. When these ecosystems disappear, so will the visitors and the revenue. And more crucially, there are many communities that completely rely on these ecosystems for their daily survival. They use water for drinking, washing, and for agriculture. They may depend on clean, fresh water to feed their cattle, or a flowing river to catch their fish. For indigenous communities, for example Maori from New Zealand, some groundwater-dependent ecosystems such as springs are taonga, a treasure. Can this still be solved? Yes, but it requires action. Nature is incredibly resilient, but at the current pace, it's impossible to adapt quickly enough. So, to undo or reduce these human impacts, we will also need human commitment to protect and restore. Protect, by creating protected areas and by limiting groundwater extraction in vulnerable ecosystems, especially during dry seasons, when groundwater is crucial for maintaining these groundwater-dependent ecosystems. And restore, by removing damaging barriers like dams, or by re-wetting the wetlands. Managed aquifer recharge can be another way to restore the necessary water levels to keep the ecosystems healthy. It's time to act, time to protect and restore.